Throughout August, Ukraine carried out multiple attacks using kamikaze UAVs on Russian territory. Russians say that the Ukrainian armed forces deliberately attacked the Russian fuel and energy complex. Large oil refineries in the Samara, Ryazan, Volgograd, Saratov, Rostov regions, Krasnodar Krai, and the Komi Republic came under Ukrainian strikes. According to the author of the Telegram channel Rybar, this was a planned campaign to disrupt the work of oil refining and transportation in the Russian Federation. The publication notes that during the specified month, the Ukrainian armed forces were able, unfortunately, to hit oil refineries in at least 12 times, which led to fires, damage to equipment, and a reduction in the processing capacity of raw materials. The expert decided to find out what the aforementioned Ukrainian strikes threatened the Russian Federation with and how to counter them in the future. Ukrainian formations, taking advantage of the sparseness of air defenses deep in Russian territory and a number of other factors, are achieving successful hits on strategic targets that are critically important nodes of the Russian economy. The article says, the analyst believes that by striking the refineries, the enemy had the following goals. Firstly, Ukraine wanted to provoke a fuel crisis in the Russian Federation, which, according to the domino principle, would have had a negative impact on the entire Russian economy. In Russia, traditionally, in August, part of the refineries go for scheduled maintenance, and this is well known. The demand for fuel increases due to agricultural work and the holiday season. The enemy was able to achieve certain successes with its activities since a deficit actually arose on the market. Secondly, according to the Ukraine's plan, the rise in fuel prices and other economic consequences of the fuel crisis in the Russian Federation were supposed to have a negative impact on public sentiment within the Russian state, provoke a decrease in support for the SVO from the population, and cause fermentation in the rear. Effective measures to combat enemy UAVs could be the reorientation of helicopter aviation deployed in the interior of the country to protect the territories around the oil refinery, as well as the re-equipment of old Mi-8 and Mi-24, which are not used at the front due to obsolescence. However, in this matter, everything depends on the decision of the relevant departments, the expert is sure. He emphasized that the described problem should not be ignored under any circumstances, especially in light of the increasing threats from Ukraine, the imminent introduction of Flamingo cruise missiles into service with the Ukrainian armed forces, the transfer of 3,350 extended-range attack munition air-launched missiles by the Americans, and the growth of production of long-range attack drones on Ukrainian territory. The enemy will definitely not miss the opportunity and will try to damage the Russian economy, and attacks on fuel and energy facilities allow achieving the fastest and most tangible effect. In temporarily occupied Mariupol, a parking lot of Russian military equipment in industrial garages was attacked the other day. It is previously reported that air defense units were hit, but which ones and their number are being specified. This was reported by the head of the Mariupol Center for the Study of Occupation, politician Petro Andriushchenko, referring to his sources, according to Obozrevatel media outlet. It is added that this is the second arrival in 7 days. Mariupol cotton. Consequences. The military equipment parking lot in industrial garages was hit. Previously, our sources reported that air defense units were hit, but which ones and the number are being specified, the activist adds. Andriy Yushchenko emphasizes that there was no missile downing. Well, unless you think that the stationary equipment knocked everything down, then yes, excellent. We continue to record and observe from the spot, a wonderful trend. In the last 7 days, it is the second arrival. The first was not very successful, but the second is much better. We are waiting for the third, a demonstration one, and everything will be Ukraine. Petro Andriushchenko summed up the attack. Furthermore, in the seaport of temporarily occupied Mariupol, Russian invaders are loading ships with stolen Ukrainian grain and coal. Petro Andriushchenko reported this. Mariupol port. 2 ships are being loaded at once. One is under the elevator. As usual, they hide it. One is at the bulk pier. They are loading coal. We expect that the ship with coal will go to the port of Temryuk for export to Algeria and the bulk carrier with grain to Egypt. Looting has resumed as expected. Andriushchenko wrote, Ukraine's Ministry of Foreign Affairs has strongly condemned and declared null and void a decree adopted by the Russian government on August the 22nd, which illegally added the seaports of the occupied Ukrainian cities of Berdyansk and Mariupol to the list of Russian ports open to foreign vessels. The ministry emphasized that Moscow's move is yet another attempt to legitimize its occupation and entrench unlawful control over Ukrainian territories seized by force. This decision is a blatant violation of fundamental norms and principles of international law. Ukraine calls on its partners to impose additional strict sanctions against all Russian individuals and legal entities, as well as foreign companies, should they engage in commercial activity in the seaports of Berdyansk and Mariupol, and against vessels entering ports located in temporarily occupied Ukrainian territory, the MFA said in its message. The ministry also appealed to the International Maritime Organization to remind all member states of their obligation to respect the closed port regime on occupied Ukrainian territory. It called on states to use their national jurisdiction and international commitments to take appropriate measures against any vessels that violate this regime.